I know it's only one game. I know it's unlikely circumstances, but you've been talking about playing with force and pace and thrust. Yep. Did you see that more consistently tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think those guys did a great job. Obviously, there's been so much made of our starts, and we had obviously a completely different starting lineup. We didn't get off to a great start, but I give our guys credit. We just kept hanging in the game and just kept playing the next possession, and there was some resiliency. And to your point, the pace, like we turned the ball over a lot. We made some, and obviously it was good for some younger guys to get out there and get a chance at an opportunity to be in a game like that. But those are things you can, I think, correct and clean up. But the force which we played with, and how we were communicating on defense, I thought was really, really good. So we did a lot of really, really positive things in the game, collectively overcoming, them being a really, really good team and some of our own mistakes.
Season high turnovers, but also season high assists. I mean, in general, the guys look like they found matchups. They hunted Vooch. What did you think of the?
We did a good job. I thought we missed him on a couple turnovers. We were trying to get it in there to him, but we did a really good job recognizing they switched and went in zone. And Vooch, I think, had some opportunities. We just didn't find him all the time, but we did get him in some areas of the floor where he could really play. I love the fact that we had so many guys in double figures, and a lot of guys stepped up and made a lot of big shots, and they've got elite scoring. So you're up by whatever it was, 7 with 125 or so, and then they kind of make some threes. We have a turnover, and then they go up, and then obviously Alex makes a great shot at the end to give us a chance. But yeah, I mean, I think the thrust at which we played with and getting into the teeth of the defense and the paint, because they were big and they were playing zone. I thought on a few possessions we got a little stagnant, but once we started to figure out that we needed to move a little bit more, I think that we were able to generate better looks and then find Vooch inside.
Billy, when you talk about, overthinking at times when it comes to maybe driving to the basket and you had an open layup but you're trying to pass it and things of that sort, do you think today's game was more of a free-flowing game, more of just them just playing basketball, or do you still think there's still some of those overthinking mistakes or just trying to do too much mistakes that played throughout the game?
I mean, I think we have some of those. I thought in the first half we kind of got in our own way a little bit on some drives where we got the ball downhill, but our spacing wasn't great. You may remember there was one play, I think, late in the second quarter where we threw the ball to the corner and two guys were in the corner together. The spacing at times wasn't great. When we had good spacing and we moved into open areas, I thought good things happened. But the hard thing to do against them, to your point, when you talk about overthinking, is when you try to interior pass, like if you're driving and try to shovel it down to the opposite block or to the dunker spot, it's hard because it's so long. Like those passes got to go to the perimeter. And I think once we did that, it generated some good looks. But I thought our guys played very aggressively, and we pushed the ball and we got down the floor and we were pretty aggressive, which was good. But I do think for younger players, that thought pattern, through experience kind of slowly goes away.
Do you think they played more aggressively because Zach and DeMar weren't out there and they had more touches, the ball in their hands more and stuff? Or how do you see their absence fitting into how you guys played tonight?
I mean, I don't know. I think we've obviously lost, several games in a row. It's a competitive group. They, I think, went out there really, wanting to compete and battle. I think they knew what kind of team they were playing against tonight. And I think the things that we did, were things that it wasn't like we changed our offense, you know what I mean, and did anything necessarily different. I mean, we were basically doing the same things. So I don't know what their feeling was. I think these guys that are in the NBA, they realize that players over 82 games are going to go in and out, and it's generally kind of a next man up. Next guy's got to play. Next guy gets an opportunity. It's kind of that mentality. So you probably need to ask them, but I didn't. Anytime you lose two great players like Zach and DeMar, it's going to hurt any team. But I give our guys credit for rising up in their absence and finding a way to collectively to find a way to win the game.
Down the stretch of the game, Io, he saved that Vooch pass from going out of bounds. He also had, several steals. So, how important was Io's performance for you guys down the stretch tonight to see?
Well, I think there was a lot of plays. Like Patrick, I thought made a great drive when we were down by one and the shot got blocked, right? But it was a great play, just great defense and length by them. Io had a couple big pull-ups, a couple drives, a couple kicks. I thought he played in a really good tempo and pace. I thought Kobe knocked down a lot of shots, to kind of save us, so to speak. He had that one late, I think it may have been in regulation at the top of the key where he just had, he gets so upset with himself. But I just thought there was so many different guys, Io and Patrick and Vooch, and a lot. I thought Javon and Torrey coming off the bench were really good. I thought Julian did a good job. Like, I thought it was one of those games where everybody in their own ways had major contributions in the game.
What was the thought process behind having Io in the starting lineup? Just kind of what did you think he brought to that group when you did have DeMar and Zach out?
Well, I wanted to have another ball handler out there for one, and just felt with Lillard and Giannis out there that wanted to have Alex out there, and Middleton too, to have Alex out there. I think the other part was when you got two really phenomenal scorers in Zach and DeMar not playing, and their handlers too, their facilitators, they generate offense for themselves and others. When they're out there doing that and you start to take them off the floor, you have to look at, is all the responsibility on Kobe or all the responsibility on Vooch? So it was just more to put another playmaker out there. And then also, I think Io, I says he works as hard as he possibly can on Dame. I'm not saying he's stopping anybody of that level. No, none of these players have just stopped. But, he's going to give great effort. He's going to work at it. And we thought, putting him on Lillard and Alex on Middleton and then Patrick on Giannis was kind of the best way for us to match up going into the game.
At some point you are going to have to reincorporate Zach and DeMar back into this, but is there anything you can take away from just the pace and the speed at which you guys are getting down the floor that you can point to and say we can do this better once those guys are back?
Yeah, I think we've got to do that. The one thing that really helped us is I thought Andre Drummond and Vooch did a phenomenal job running into screens on the fly coming down the floor, which really enabled our guards to kind of get free from contact and kind of create some penetration. They did a terrific job just sprinting into those. That's one of the things that we've talked about. Like I said, we're not going to be like this speed merchant team on made baskets, but on missed shots, we've got to generate more transition opportunities. But again, I think one of the things that does happen is a lot of times in this league, when you turn the ball over 21 times, it's hard to win. Now, they obviously turned it over, so it was kind of a wash. But if you get into a game where you turn it over 21, 22 times, and the other team's turning it over 10, 11, it's hard to overcome that. So the turnover part washed itself out. But I think that's what happens sometimes when we get going with some of our younger guys so fast that the decision-making of overthinking and those things come into play. But we've got to collectively, on misses, I think, play with more force and thrust. And tonight I thought we did a good job of that.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.